What is going on, my peeps? Your man Versatile is back with another video, back here with another movie review, and we're going to talk about Space Jam 2, A New Legacy, or Space Jam, A New Legacy, whichever way you want to cut the tune cookie. Yes, I actually literally just got through watching it like 5 minutes ago, and boy do I have some thoughts. But before we get into those thoughts, I'm actually fairly surprised at not just the direction, but overall the tone of the movie. LeBron is good and he's slick, and I appreciate it. But before we get into the details, if you guys haven't already, I would greatly appreciate if you guys could like the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, so that way you never miss my videos. Then we can sit back, relax, and see what's cracking. Now let's get into the video, and also comment down below if you guys have seen Space Jam, A New Legacy. Do you guys plan on watching it? And if you have, what do you guys think about it? Or why are you not going to watch it? Let me know down in the comment section below. So, what am I surprised by? I'm surprised by how well they actually used the Looney Tunes in the movie. Now, yes, there will be some spoilers to some degree, just because I'm gonna be kind of all over the place in terms of talking about the movie. Not necessarily like what the movie was about per se, you know, in chronological order, but just my thoughts about the movie. Why am I surprised by how they used the Looney Tunes? Well, of course, within the last 2 generations, if you will, they're not as familiar with the Looney Tunes. They're not as connected. They did not grow up with the Looney Tunes. So, of course, when you think about the Looney Tunes now, you're like, maybe I should have went with some other cartoons like all those video games. And the movie is about the son making a video game and bringing the video game to life, per se. If you're gonna go in that direction with the movie, you might as well use video game characters that the last 3 generations, you could say, really are familiar with, and that would be the likes of Fortnite, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, League of Legends. So those are the 4 cartoon-ish characters that I could think of that the last couple generations would really connect with and would actually drive more younger people to the theaters or HBO Max to see Space Jam, A New Legacy. By the way, I did see it on HBO Max. So I think from that perspective, I'm surprised that they didn't do that, but I'm also surprised in a positive way as to how they actually familiarized the Looney Tunes to the newer generations that did not grow up with them. And essentially what they did was, as LeBron was trying to put together his team, he had to travel through Looney Tune world and through other different little worlds to find the Looney Tune characters. And as they found each character, they let you know what they kind of did during that moment that they were being recruited to the Toon Squad. Well, the payoff there is in the 3rd act, basically towards the end of the 2nd act, 3rd act, when the basketball game takes place and the Toon Squad finally kicks it into high gear and starts doing what they do best. Then the recall of the characteristics of each Toon character or cartoon comes to life in the basketball game to kind of give them leverage, to give them an edge in the game. And I actually found that to be pretty cool. I like that. I will say that it was a little slow in the beginning, and I think it's just because you really kind of don't know what they're doing, where they're going. And when you think back about the first Space Jam, it likewise also was a little slow in the beginning before it really picked up once the basketball game got started, right? So I like that despite this one kind of starting off slow from that same perspective, the minute the whole animation started to kick in, it was giving you jabs here and there about basically letting you know this is going to be more or less a high-strung, environment for LeBron James. So I like that aspect. I was a little surprised by it. Do I feel like they still should have went in the direction of like these other video game characters like Fortnite primarily, especially given that LeBron was thrown into Fortnite recently? Yes, I definitely think so. And let me know if you guys think they should have used Fortnite for the movie too. Second thing I'm going to talk about, LeBron James acting. It wasn't bad. Like there's moments where you could tell, because he's more or less a new actor, and because he wasn't necessarily in a serious role where he had to really act, he almost had to kind of be a caricature of himself / another TV personality that I'll get into in a second. But from that perspective, he wasn't bad at the acting, and in some of the serious moments, or when he had to do his voiceover moments, I actually felt his presence stronger during the voiceover moments than his actual live action. Now, when they got into the basketball portion of the movie, I felt like his acting kind of was better because it was more or less his environment, being on a court, directing, coaching, and all that kind of stuff. So from that perspective, I liked what I was seeing from LeBron basically halfway through the movie and later. The beginning was a little tough because you felt like, if not, he was trying a little bit too hard. He was definitely trying to act, and you could kind of see that. So I will say that this, it says a second or third movie, right, that he's had a role in. Now, this is probably his first movie that he's had a large role in. And from that perspective, I give him a solid C. I would say average. He's not going to blow you away, but he's in moments that it counts. I feel like he was there when it counted. A little cheesy at the end of the movie, but I feel like overall his acting was average. It was cool. Like, it was bearable. So the third thing I'm going to talk about, LeBron is slick. LeBron is a master of narrative. The lesson or moral of the story is to allow somebody to be who they are. Case in point, the movie is essentially about his son, who LeBron is pushing to be a basketball player because he has potential. But his son is into basically STEM or mathematics, right? Engineering. He's a video game creator. He created a video game centered around basketball, by the way. But LeBron thinks that video games are distracting, right? Like, that's the cliche, and especially in a lot of black people households. Video games, they're distracting. They're not teaching you anything. Why are you wasting your time with it? When we know it's just completely not the case at all. It's just another avenue, it's another field of study. Video games are. So because LeBron was treated that way when he was a child with video games, as we saw in the beginning of the movie, that trauma, if you will, was reflected in his parenting with his youngest son in the movie. His first son, basketball, he ain't got no problems, whatever. No doubt he probably pushed him, but he connected to it. Whereas his second son, Dom, did not connect to basketball the same way. In fact, he connected to making video games, and so he did. And then LeBron is kind of learning how to adjust to that a little bit, but still wanted his son to go to basketball camp over the E3 video game design camp. And that's where the wheels start turning for the movie, because Don Cheadle, who is the antagonist or the villain in the movie, is an AI who seizes control of Dom's game and really their likeness by sucking them into the universe of the internet, if you will, or the serververse. And this is where he propositions LeBron, if you want to get back into the real world, you got to beat me in a game of basketball, but we're going to play your son's game. And that's where that's where I feel like LeBron was pretty good at controlling the narrative from that perspective. And what do I mean? Well, remember earlier I mentioned TV personality, right? Skip Bayless, right? Mr. Bayless is always harping on LeBron being somebody else. And who is that? Well, none other than Michael Jordan, right?
LeBron doesn't have the killer mentality.
And that phrase has been adopted by a lot of people who, if not hate on LeBron, have been conditioned to think LeBron has to be something other than he is. Again, the theme of the movie is to let people be who they are without trying to control them. Not to say you can't push people to try to do better for themselves, all that kind of stuff. But the overall theme essentially was to accept who somebody is and let them be who they are. They're not somebody else. So if LeBron is learning that in the movie about his son and comes to accept that and appreciates what his son can do, especially going through this video game journey with the basketball game and all that type of stuff, I feel like he was playing the role of Skip Bayless and his son was LeBron from that perspective, or a lot of the critics, right? He's not Michael Jordan and all this type of stuff. So by controlling the narrative from that perspective, using a movie to tell a good story, but a good lesson, if you will, about, accepting other people for who they are, I would say LeBron may have achieved that in the movie to some degree, or it was apparent that he may have been coming at his critics with the movie. Let him be who he is. He's not Michael Jordan. He is LeBron James, arguably, and I would put him above Michael Jordan, the best player to ever play basketball. So I can see him using that, and this isn't because I'm a fan of him, but I also play basketball. I appreciate basketball. I pay attention to it, and for what he can do, that's why I find him to be better than MJ. And he's done a lot more with less than MJ has. So there's just certain things like that of course, I'm going to compare, but that's why I appreciate who he is, because he's not necessarily going to change. He's going to do what he can to try to win, and that's passing the ball or that's shooting the ball. He's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So from a narrative perspective, LeBron controlled the narrative pretty well with this movie, and it really felt like it reached outside of the movie. And that's why I feel like this movie may have had success, or will have success, is from that perspective. And I can't wait to hear Skip Bayless talk about this movie if he's seen it. Him and Shannon going at it. That's going to be pretty interesting. In terms of the video game itself, I like how they kind of tapped into some of the Goon Squad, right? They showed the OG Goon Squad little characters, like the little rat looking things in the audience. By the way, WB is desperate because not only was it a flex, but it also was like what has been or what could have been with a lot of their properties. Like, we've seen a lot of their success that they had in the past, and we see that they're struggling now because they have one of the largest entertainment properties in DC and is fumbling the ball with DC. But they were a big part of this movie as well, surprisingly. But you just get to see their catalog in the audience and just themes throughout the movie, with, if it wasn't Harry Potter, King Kong, Iron Giant, this Justice League, yes, Batman, Robin, Superman, Wonder Woman. I think we did see Green Lantern, the Wizard of Oz, The Mask, It. What was it? Game of Thrones, and they were making all these references prior to that as well. So WB is a little desperate, but they were flexing at the same time, showing the breadth of their catalog that did succeed in the past, like the Flintstones and the bear. I forgot the bear's name, but the success there. But then what could have succeeded, or what they just kind of let go, and it's unfortunate, but it was an interesting play there to really use their catalog to build the stage, if you will, pun intended, for the virtual basketball game of life, or virtual death, that took place between LeBron and his son, because Don Cheadle, again, coerced or kind of tricked LeBron's son into playing against him and trying to show him that he doesn't accept you and all this type of stuff. And then the son saw towards the end that he was getting played by the AI. So that was pretty interesting. But again, in terms of the likeness of other people, in terms of the Goon Squad, we had Dame Lillard, we had Diana Taurasi, we had I think her name Nike Ogumike. Sorry if I butchered the last name. She was in here. There was another Klay Thompson, and then I think there was another woman, but I can't remember. But those four, yeah. And they're like, Wet Fire was Klay Thompson, so he was water and fire, but wet because he's a splash brother and he catches fire real quick from the three. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Dame Lillard he had a watch that could control time because his motto is Dame Time. You know what I'm saying? Dame Time. And then you had Ogumike as a spider and Diana Taurasi as like a snake of some sort. And then the son was, of course, basically the LeBron on his team, super powered up and everything. So I found that. Oh, and then Anthony Davis, that's who I was missing. Anthony Davis was a bird, and I guess because his brow makes him kind of look like a bird, he was like some sort of a falcon or eagle type thing going on. So that was pretty interesting. And just watching how the Toons use their abilities to get back in the game was pretty interesting. It was actually pretty funny. Me and the wife, we was cracking up towards the end. The little pig was rapping. That was hilarious. That was funny. So I would say overall, it's hard to want to give this one a grade, because for as much as I did enjoy it once it really picked up, it was kind of sort of the beginning and some of the corn that kind of held it back from moments. So I definitely do not think this is an 8 out of 10, but I really want to give it like a 7.7, 7.8, like some weird score like that, because it was very close to an 8, but I definitely know it was above a 7. So it's somewhere in between that 7.5 to 7.9 out of 10, because I felt like it was a good movie to enjoy, and kids could still go and enjoy it even if they're not as familiar with the cartoons. I feel like the the action of it was good for kids to see. So I would give it, yeah, somewhere in that 7.7, 7.8 out of 10. I'm a sucker for some nostalgia, and that's what we get with this movie. So that's what I would rate it. I liked it from that perspective. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about the movie, about if you guys caught any other tones or moral lessons. If you guys plan on watching it soon or don't plan on watching it, let me know down in the comments section below. But again, as always, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys ignite the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, so that way you never miss my videos. That way you can sit back, chill, see what's cracking. But your man Versal signing out until the next video. Wait for it.